Okay, hello guys. Time to go over a very put off recording on how exactly the black market works and how to profit from the black market. And yeah, so first things first, what is the black market? Firstly, it is basically the way the game gets the loot that you get from chests or mob drops. All of the things that you get from chests or maybe something that a mob drops, it's all from it's all items that people have crafted. The game just buys them from the black market, then puts it into a chest, and then you can access the chest and get the loot. That's why when you open a gold chest and then you see has been crafted by XYZ, that's an actual person and they just got their items sold on the black market effectively. So where is the black market situated? It is situated in Caerleon, right over here. You can see black market. This is the normal market right here. And these two are completely different. So this is like any other Royal City market. It's quite terrible because it's Caerleon. But what we're interested in is this black market over here. And let me go over a high level view of what exactly we'll be doing. So firstly, each of these royal cities has their own local production bonuses, and the way you can check the bonuses is by selecting the city, clicking this drop down right here, and scrolling down a little bit. You can see that the local production bonuses, which means the things that you craft at this city, if you craft these things, you will get an additional 18% bonus, or 15% bonus here, sorry. And for example, Limhurst is these five things right here. So sword, bows, staffs, and just specifically arcane staffs, and then leather helmet and shoes. And it's all of the leather shoes, and it's all of the leather helmets, and so on and so forth. You want to ignore the ones that have this little icon, which is just indicates that it's an event, because the events only last for a day. So these things right here, it's a daily production bonus. So it's only going to be here for today, and then it's never going to come back. Or it's going to come back, but it's not going to come back on a daily basis. So typically you don't want to look at the daily production bonuses when crafting. But eventually if you get to that stage where now you're crafting in all the different cities, you're crafting you're crafting plate helmets here, leather shoes here, crossbows here, and quarterstaffs here, and you're crafting things in every single city, then if you see that, oh, it's a dagger day, you'll come down here to Bridgewatch and you'll craft daggers here. As you see that, plus 35% return now, because this is the bonus. This is the city for daggers, so it has a standard plus 15 return, and then it's also an activity, so now it's plus 20, so it's 35 total return. And most people would end up transporting their materials from different cities to Bridgewatch to craft, so then they can get the most profit, and then they'll bring it back to Limhurst and transport to Caerleon. Now, I did mention the word transport, so let's make that a little bit more clear. So there's two type of transports. Firstly, you have intercity transports, which means that you're going from city to city to city to city to city, and usually this transport is for materials. So you have a buy order in Martlock because it's cheaper to buy leather here. And the reason why it's cheaper to buy leather here is because the refining bonus is for hide. And that makes it much easier because people will just refine their hide here and sell it here as well. So it'll be cheaper here. If you were to buy hide in Fort Sterling or Thetford, chances are you're not going to have a really good price, because especially in Fort Sterling, because none of the zones nearby Fort Sterling actually have hide at all. So it's going to be uber expensive here because people are going to farm their hide, refine their hide here, or farm their hide here, and then transport it to Fort Sterling, then sell it here for an extra 10% more cost, right? So that's basics. That's the intercity transport. So I have buy orders for leather here, and I have steel here, and I have wood here, because that's typically the cheapest places that I've seen for these items. But that does mean if I want to craft swords here, I'll have to transport my leather from Martlock through Bridgewatch all the way to Limhurst. So that's around a 15-minute transport. For beginners, I highly suggest you buy everything in Limhurst. It's not that big of a deal. And it'll save you the extra like 20 minutes of transports between cities. So for sure, when you're beginning, buy everything in Limhurst, put buy orders for 10% less or whatever the current rate is, and gather all your stuff here before crafting. And after that is, okay, so next thing, the actual transport from Limhurst to Caerleon. And this follows this specific path. So when you get this message that, oh, bandits will start in 15 minutes, that's your cue to, get an ox, typically tier 4 ox, put on some tier 4 4.0 plate armor, and haul ass all the way to Hornbeam Wood right here at the entrance. You'll see hundreds of people here as well. There would be a massive crowd. So you don't need to be afraid. If you don't know what to do, just follow the crowd. That is literally all you have to do. And once the 15 minutes is done and Bandits has officially started, or the faction war has officially started, people will zone into Highbull Glen, run the whole distance to Nightbloom Forest over here, then wait. They wait for the Limhurst people, the Limhurst flagged individual and groups to like claim all these things, and then they'll zone into here, and then they'll wait for them to flag all these, and then they'll zone into Long Timber Glen. And once they're in Long Timber Glen, they typically won't wait here. So they won't wait for the Limhurst blob to take this banner. They will simply just run Long Timber Glen, Wire Forest, and straight to Caerleon. Because this is very short. Because you'll pop out here, then you just run the border, and you're in Caerleon. And, once you're here, it doesn't really matter. And, yeah, and then you can basically just leave your mount here because you can't fast travel with any luggage back to Limhurst or to Caerleon. So, and it's pretty dangerous to walk your mount back. You're probably going to die here because people know that this is a transport route. So there will be people who are bombing. By bombing, I just mean they're tossing really high damage AoE skills on a clump and hoping they all die. But, if you're like keeping aware of your surroundings, you're probably never going to get caught, at least from Limhurst to Caerleon. But if you go Caerleon back to Limhurst without the big blob, then you're probably going to get caught. So typically don't travel back, just travel there, because the back is unsafe, but to there with the whole like 200 people blob, it's really, really safe. And I always suggest going with the bandit timer because firstly, it happens every like 5 or 6 hours, and that means it happens around 3 to 4 times a day, which is more than enough, right? Like, if you miss it for a day, sure, just wait till tomorrow. Like, it's not like your whole life is dependent on it, but just never try running it solo. There is 100% going to be gankers in all of these zones, specifically Nightbloom Forest and Long Timber Glen. Lots of gankers here, so. Because they know that you're trying to bring your stuff to the black market, and there's going to be some impatient people who are like, oh, darn, the blob just left, I'm just going to try sneaking in the back. They're going to get caught, and they're going to die. So, always be wise. You got to think of it this way, like, if you lose all your stuff, then you just lost, like, all the silver plus all the profit you were going to make, and all you gained was your fame, which is still good, but, obviously you want to make profit, so then next time you can craft more and get more fame, and so on and so forth. So let's do a quick example of this. We can't bring anything to Caerleon, so I'm completely naked. Let's travel over to Caerleon. And a couple tips here. Firstly, in order to check the price of something that you want to sell in the black market, you have to pretend you're selling it. Because there is no buy orders from other individuals or other players, because like I said, it's the game that buys your stuff, not other players. So this is typically what you'll see in a lot of our banks here at Caerleon, just a bunch of tier 4 items of different things that you're interested in crafting. So there was a time where I was crafting a lot of bows, a lot of axes, swords, staffs, jackets, hoods, shoes, and I wanted to check the prices, so I have all these things here, obviously. And these are all like the transports that I've done in the past, and I just didn't move it back. But recently I started using the bear, so I don't use these that much anymore. Make sure you keep a fast mount here, because you'll be coming here naked almost every time, or every single time. And then what do? Okay, so let's start this way, right? Suppose we want to craft, or we want to just check the prices of assassin shoes. I suggest, if you're only going to craft in Limhurst, bring every Limhurst craftable item. And by what I mean every craftable item, I mean the first 3 in every branch. So, for example, we can look at right here, the hoods, right? The leather hoods is also a bonus in Limhurst. These first 3 here will not require an artifact to craft. They will only require leather. And then when you go into these things, these bottom 5 in any tree, what will end up happening is that you'll need an additional item or an artifact to craft it. And that means you'll have to put a buy order for that. And then every time you craft one of those things get used up. If we've done tracking before, you've seen those like components to like craft a blood moon staff or bear paws. They all have their own little components. And those are called artifact items. The first 3 never have anything. Like, you don't need any additional artifact to craft. So you want to focus on these 3. So, for example, in crossbows, it would be these 3. And then for swords, it would be, broadsword, claymore, and dual swords. And then once you go into, like, clarent, carvings, kingmakers, and infinity blades, those all have things that you need to set a buy order for. And it's the same thing. Like, you know how IP works in the weapons? It's similar over here, because you can see that this gives 30 plus bonus to cost efficiency. You go down here, it's now only 15. And this is now 2.5, right? So it's like similar to speccing a weapon. You're now speccing your crafting, and it's the same thing here, right? Higher, every number is higher except the specialization bonus, right? So like that doesn't really matter, but you can see that generally your first 3 are the best things here, right? So that's basically when I say you want to grab everything that you can craft in Limhurst, I mean grab these 3. Grab these 3, and then your shoes as well. Where are they? Those are my cloths. Should be up here actually. Yeah. Grab these 3 leathers, and that's all you really need to do, right? So I'm only gonna bring these for now, because I don't really want to check everything. I just want to demonstrate how one would check it. So now you have all your items in your inventory. You have to walk over to the black market, fat guy. If this is your first time, this guy's actually obese. So, yeah. So we click on this guy. And like you can see, like these are all... No one's gonna, you can't sell now. You don't know the price. The only way you check the price is by selling. So you go to your sell tab with your inventory, and boom. You gotta press this button right here. Now you know the price of what your thing's about to sell for. So there's 2 things you want to look for in these typically. So... when you're crafting for the first time, I suggest doing 4-0 stuff, because 4-1 is going to be a little expensive. But typically 4-1 sells better. Like, the profit margins will be better, and you'll be able to get more fame for the thing as well. But it's alright, because 4 flat is more cheaper, so you can craft a larger quantity, maybe get more spec going, or just so you get the hang of what to do. You might start with something that's low cost, and then maybe put buy orders for something more expensive, right? So here we have Adept Hunter shoes. I usually change the market history to 7 days here, so I get like a whole idea of where it was, what the current situation is, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so the reason why this crashed here, by the way, is because it was leather shoes crafting day yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago. Which basically means that you got that activity bonus for crafting leather shoes. So everyone crafted them, and everyone dumped it on the black market. So the price naturally goes down, because there's a lot more quantity and less demand, right? So you can see that it was 3K, now it's like almost 2,000 silver below, right? Like it's absurd. It's almost 2,000 silver below in almost a day. So you can get really unlucky like this. Like if you were crafting your like leather shoes yesterday or 2 days ago, and then you didn't get a bandit run, and then you woke up the day after and then you saw it was like leather shoes day, and then you literally lost all your profit. What to do then? Just hold it. Don't put it on the market. Just keep it in your bank here and wait until the price recovers, because the price will always recover, right? Like, it may look bad now, but eventually it'll go back up, and that's just how the thing flows, you know. So that's not what you were supposed to look for, but that was just a little side tangent. Also, keep the quality of what you're looking at between normal, good, and outstanding. Don't do excellent masterpiece here, because it's like it's a little biased and a little hard to understand. Like if you look here, very few sells. Like, it looks constant, but that's just because there's no one selling this type of shit here. So you want to keep it in good and normal. I keep it on normal or good. It's fine. Typically the lower quality does better here, because if you think about the last time you got a masterpiece or excellent item on a chest, probably never, or a really long time ago. So yeah, you can think of it that way. Like, you know, you see a lot of good, normal, outstanding things, so that's going to do better on the black market, right? So the two things you want to look at is firstly the price. So you know that this one crashed recently. It was at 3K, now it's 2.3K. I would probably put this, like, if I was writing a note somewhere, yeah, by the way, I suggest you guys keep like some sort of Google Sheets or Excel sheet, or maybe just a notebook when you're crafting, because you're gonna have to write down a lot of numbers, and they don't really have anything convenient to like jot down numbers, I guess. Here I'd probably put the price at 2,100. Always shave off a little bit just to be generous to yourself, I guess. Give yourself room for errors. So this will sell for 2,100, and then we can look at assassin shoes, 2,800. So naturally here you can already see that, well, no one would want to craft hunter shoes if assassin shoes are 600 silver more, right? And it's kind of like that. That's kind of what you have to understand here. This is now 3.3 thousand. So again, now why would anyone want to craft anything but mercenary shoes, right? And this is why you always have to check, because you may think that, like, oh, they all take, you know, eight pieces of leather, so they should all be priced around the same. Not true. Because specifically why is because when the leather shoes crafting day happened, these two were the most profitable. So most people probably crafted these two and put them all in the market. But since there was so much demand of this and nobody crafted this, the market essentially just inverted. So there was so much demand here, the price went down, and nobody crafted this because at the time it was a loss. So now this goes up, you know, if that makes sense. You don't have to be that serious about it, but I'm just trying to like reason, so hopefully you guys get like a little bit of understanding why prices might fluctuate. So now that you have this all jotted down, you can just put this away, like you're done. You're done with Caerleon until the transport now. Now you have to craft and, you know, put buy orders and wait for your buy orders to be filled. Typically what I do is I don't check the prices before putting out buy orders. I put out the buy orders first, then I check the prices for the things I want to craft. Because, like, for example, if you buy leather, you can craft shoes, hood, and your swords. So it's like all in, like, you can do three out of like the 5 things just with buying leather. So chances are, like, you can just stockpile on leather, and eventually like one of those 3 are going to be profitable, and you could just use it there. That way you're not like, oh shit, this is a really good price now, but I don't have any materials, you know. That's what you don't want to be in a situation of. So I always have buy orders set, and if I have way too much items, then that's the only time where I like slow down the buy orders. Or if I'm like broke and I need to make sure I'm holding on to a good amount of silver to like re-gear or whatnot, then I also don't put too many buy orders, and I make sure that my stuff sells first. Oh yeah. So that was the first thing to check, but I'm gonna have to go back to Caerleon and I'll show you the second thing you have to check. Completely slipped my mind, but since we're here already, let's go over how to create buy orders. So these are things from my buy orders that I still need to pick up, but buy orders are pretty straightforward. These are my current buy orders here. This is your buy order tab, this is your pickup tab, and this is gonna be your sell from inventory and buy from market. So we need worked leather, which is tier 4 leather, and we need 8 of these to craft a leather shoe. If you didn't know that, you can just like press on a leather shoe and see the material it takes. And the way to set a buy order is you press buy order, and yeah, so you already know it's usually 10% lower as like a rule of thumb. And yeah, you can just set it right here, or you can do one more to just be petty. So typically this is where like you have to have pretty high maintenance. So people will add just one more cent or one more silver to your buy order, so theirs get filled before yours. So then maybe after like 6 hours you have to come back and add a couple more silver, and then so on and so forth. So here I would put it for 252, so then mine goes at the top. So if anyone's selling, they'll selling to my order and not this person's for 2,000. So you typically don't want to be like too far below. Like for example, you don't want to be this guy at 230, because that's almost like 8,000 leather right here. That definitely more than 8,000 now, that you have to wait before your buy order will get filled, right? That's going to take at least a couple days, maybe a week even. So, and if the prices go up from here, you're never getting it filled, right? So for here, the rule of thumb is just do as much as you can afford. If you know you're only going to craft leather stuff, then I would be a little bit more generous, like maybe 1,200. Typically, given your budgets, I would probably do this much, 999, maybe a little less actually. It's still gonna be enough for profits. I will do some math for you guys, so it makes a little bit more sense, I guess, so that you know like what to do to get the math done properly, right? So let's assume you buy 999, which is one stack, and it's gonna cost 258,000. Also, when you're doing this math literally, I would do this. I would take this number. I would not take the buy order number. Again, you have to pretend you're scamming yourself to see the actual profits. Like, you don't want there to be a profit only if you use a buy order. It's ideal that you get a profit regardless if you do a buy order, but since you're doing a buy order, you get a 10% more profit, you know, and that's like a hidden profit that you don't really see until you get it. That's how I do it. But some people don't do it that way. For the sake of the math, I won't do it this way, so then you guys are actually convinced that, you know, this is worth it. And yeah, so pretend your buy order got filled here, right? Now you have one stack of leather. And you know you want to craft mercenary shoes. And again, why do we want to craft mercenary shoes? Well, they're 8 leather each, and out of the other three shoes, hunter shoes, assassin shoes, mercenary shoes, the ones that sell the most at the black market is the mercenary shoes. That's why we want to craft the mercenary shoes. Simple as that. But there's one more condition that I did not mention that you have to check. And let me quickly cut to Caerleon and I can show you exactly what it is. Alright, so now that I'm in Caerleon, I have my mercenary shoes right here. This is the last thing you want to check. You want to make sure that what you're about to sell actually sells. So what is the quantity of items that are selling per day is what you want to look at. And if this is absurdly low, then you don't want to craft these, right? Simply put, because you're never going to get the money. You're never going to get the profit that you want to get from it because there's just not that many selling. So this is really good. Typically all the 4 flat ones are going to be all right because they're 4 flat and everyone gets them from chests anyways. But what do you want to check for is like, okay, go from 2 days ago to yesterday, right? 357, 150, 200, you know, almost 500, right? That means like in the span of one day, over 1,000 sold, or like around, 800 sold. That's a lot. And if you're only going to craft 100, and if you put it for like 3,300 here, like what I'm using for my math, shave off a little bit, then they're all going to sell in one night, right? Because it's such a small amount, and given how much are already selling, yours is going to be gone in like basically overnight. You can see some people with 700, that might take a while to sell, maybe like 2 days, 3 days to sell that much. And yeah, when is this like actually applicable? Like suppose you're crafting 3 items, right? Look at this. How many of these are selling? 3, 0, 2. So in the span of a whole day, like from this span right here, 0 sold. Not a single one of them sold. So would it be wise for you to craft 48 of these? Would it be wise of it to craft 48 of these? No, it wouldn't be. It would be absolutely terrible to craft 48 of these, because they're never going to sell. And even if they do, the rate that they're selling at right now, it would take almost like, give or take a month to sell this. So even if you have $1 million in profit, it's going to take you it's going to take you a month to realize those gains. So you never want to do this. There are things that, you can craft at like 5.3 or like 6.3 and they sell pretty well. Like you get 5 per day, but you wouldn't want to craft more than 10, simply put. You just craft other things, 5.3 axe, then you could do a 5.3 quarterstaff, 5 of those, 5 of these, and sell it that way. Don't craft 100 5.3s because they're not going to sell. 4.2s are typically pretty good, 12, it's all right. 18, 20, like you wouldn't want to craft more than like 100 of these. 4.1s, you can basically craft like let's go back to normal of these. Yeah, you can basically craft like upwards to 200 of these and be completely fine. Like they'll sell in a couple days. Like no biggie. How do I unselect this? Okay, well, yeah. And then naturally, like the 4 flats, like I said, are going to have the highest volume because most people can craft them. Not too many people have the funds to craft 5.3s or 4.2s or 4.1s in bulk. So yeah, now back to Limhurst for the next part. Okay, now we're in Limhurst. So suppose you have your stack of 4 flat leather now that you bought for around 258k, and you want to craft mercenary shoes. So you're in Limhurst, you have your items in your inventory. Now what do? So there are crafting stations all over the entire city. Which one do you pick? So here it's pretty straightforward. You know that in order to craft leather shoes, you have to go to a hunter lodge. So you press a hunter lodge, and now it'll highlight all the hunter lodges in Limhurst. Then all you have to do is hover over them and look for the usage fee per 100 nutrition consumed for users, not associates. Then simply find the cheapest one and haul all your materials over there and craft it there. So it's typically going to be this. Okay, well, it's this one here, 495. Usually it's the furthest ones out are going to be the cheapest, but in this case I guess it's not. This guy has the cheapest one and it's closer than this, so I would go here, like down here, around here, up and into right here. Typically when you're going to start for the first time, you're going to have to craft tier 3 and tier 2 things. Tier 3 things, because you need to be able to craft tier 4, and that requires like level 1 mastery. And so you can just buy that from Limhurst and then just craft it or study it, which means you just buy a bunch of tier 4s or buy a bunch of tier 4s or tier 3s leather shoes, and then go over here, go to the crafting station, switch to the study tab and put them all in there and study until you can unlock it. Or you can just buy tier 3 leather and craft it until it's opened. And then you want to craft all your tier 4 stuff. And that's it. Bring it back to your bank and wait for bandits and transport. And then once you're in the black market, put it for sell. Easy peasy. Just put like 20 silver lower than the current price that you see, and it'll sell overnight if you're crafting tier 4 things for sure. So let's go over to the spreadsheets and actually see how much money you'll make on a certain amount. Alrighty, so this is basically my setup. It's not that enthusiastic. You just need to write things down. It's not that serious. So suppose you're crafting your leather shoes here, and you have 999 leathers, and it costs 8 to craft. Pretty straightforward. This is how much you're gonna get. So let's just round down here. You'll get like I think I can just do this. Yeah, you'll get 125. And yeah, and if it costed you this much, and I think I remember it was 252, you can just divide this out, but for each leather it'll cost you around like 252, right? So if we do 252 multiplied by 8, oh shoot, gotta love this. you'll get 2016, and this is how much you'll sell it for. So if we do a quick profit math here, yeah, I know this is a little messy. I just want to make sure that the video is not too long. You'll make around 1,284 per piece. And if you're going to make 125 of these, you can do some quick maths here. And you'll make 160K just from selling these. But remember, there's a refund. And your refund is going to be around 24%, right? So the simple way of doing this math is just take this and multiply by 24%, just like this. And let's just round down here again. Okay, well, it's going to round up, but, just round it down to 29. So let's just assume this was 29. And, yeah, so here, this is your profit. What's it called? So this is your profit without, like, your return. So this is your profit doing your sell minus your cost, right? But this 29 that you got here are for free. You didn't pay for the leather. You just got it refunded to you. So you get the full price as profit. So this, your entire 3,300 is profit here. So make sure you understand that, because this is where all the money is. And you'll see really quickly why, right? So I'll call this like partial profit for that very same reason, right? So this is partial profit because you're doing your selling value minus your cost or expense, and then you're getting this profit per piece, and you crafted 125, right? Then you got 29 for free, so plus I guess your refund, right? Okay, well, of course it's gonna take that. Okay, I'm just gonna say plus refund. So my refund is gonna be 29 I got for free multiplied by the full price, and that is almost another 100,000 that you just got. So if we just quickly sum these two things, you can really see that, like, why it's so profitable. 256. That is profit, my guys. That is profit. That is not like your revenue. It is revenue minus expenses. You take that much home. And suppose, like, you had to buy your ox, right? So, like, you buy your ox, you have to buy your plate armor, you have to pay the nutrition fees, you have to pay the fees for all that. Okay, for sure. Minus 70,000, like, you can minus 70,000 here. It's not even that serious, because it like, it's not even that serious. You still have 186,000, and look how much it costed you on paper, 258K. 258K, and you make 180K profit, or 190K profit. That is almost a 90% profit rate. And this is 70,000 is very overkill. Very, very overkill. Like, very, very overkill. So, what have we learned, guys? You do this, like, for like 4 runs in a row, and you'll have 1 million pocketed. And then suddenly you won't be crafting with 999, you'll be crafting with 2,000 leather, right? And then once you have 2,000 leather, then you can see how, like, it just spirals, right? You just keep snowballing, like, because your quantity goes higher. Even if the profit margin stays the same, you'll just have more quantity, and you'll make more profits. So, that is it for crafting. Like, if you transported this, just did exactly what I just said here, you would make 186K after everything is sold. So, and how long would that take you? Probably not that long, to be honest. And you can do it once a day, sit down for an hour. If you have everything set up, all your buy orders ready and whatnot, sit down once a day for an hour, get this shit crafted, and and then transport the next time you see it up. Like, it's pretty straightforward. And just, you have to make sure that you do this math before you start crafting. I picked shoes because I know that the mercenary shoes are probably, like, one of these shoes are probably going to be profitable. So always do your math beforehand, because, for example, if you took the hunter shoes instead of the mercenary shoes here, your profit per piece would now be like actually your profit per piece would be like this minus this. You'll be making 84 silver per piece. And then you can say that it's garbage, right? Because what is this? 84 multiplied by 100, you'll make 10,000. And then you get 20, you'll get like 29 back, right? So it's still profitable. You'll still make like, you know, give or take 70,000 here. And then you minus your fees, so then it's probably down to like 30,000. So you'll make 30,000 if you didn't do your math and you just did hunter shoes. But if you do a little bit of simple minusing and adding, you'll realize that this one gives you almost like, you know, 6 times the profit. So always do your math before you craft. Always do your math before you craft. And you see how I wrote down the prices for all of them? It's easier to compare. So then, like, okay, suppose you didn't write it down. Now you're like crafting, you're like, oh, which one was I supposed to craft? The assassin shoes or mercenary shoes? You don't know. So then you have to go all the way back to Caerleon, put your stuff away, check the price, then transport all the way back, and then fast travel. Like, it's such a hassle. So when you're checking the prices, just have one of these like Google Sheets open and just like write down all the prices. So then you know exactly what to craft. And yeah, that's it. Once you get a hang of it, like, you'll know that, oh, you'll just know by like looking at the price that this is going to be profitable and this is not going to be profitable. And that's like after like 4 runs of crafting shoes, for example, you'll know that like, oh, if hunter shoes are below 2,800 or if any of the shoes are below 2,900, it's not going to be as profitable. So just don't do it. And you know that like in a couple days it'll probably go back up to 3,100 because that's typically where it's at, you know, stuff like that. And that wraps up the entire crafting tutorial. Good luck and enjoy crafting.